My name is Father Michael Stahl. I am the spiritual director of Hope's Garden. And today, what I'd like to talk to you about is Christ the Bridegroom as an uncomfortable concept. So, as you enter into a dialogue or a deeper understanding of what it means that Jesus is the bridegroom that we've been expecting, there should be a little bit of a pushback. Now, it's a very popular theme within the scriptures, in particular the Old Testament, but Jesus himself refers to himself as the bridegroom. So it's clearly an image that Jesus not only says is a good image, but a necessary image. It's one that he promotes. And the Old Testament saw it as very important to an integral understanding of their relationship to God, like a bridegroom to a bride. This is our relationship to God. But to us and our modern sensitivities and the way that we see the world, this feels a little uncomfortable to us. I feel a little bit like when we were kids and somebody would say, "Is that your girlfriend?" And the little kid goes, "Oh, yuck." Like they don't want to think that way. They're not comfortable thinking that way. And so we kind of feel that way about Jesus. It's like we become those little kids again. Oh, yuck. How could he be a bridegroom? And I suppose that's just part of because we don't understand what the term means. But I would go even further to say, perhaps we don't know what bridegrooms and brides are all about. Now, of course, when we think of a bridegroom and a bride, we're thinking about a marriage. We often think about romantic love. This understanding of these very high emotions, these attractions to each other. And clearly, we're not talking about that with Jesus. We're not talking about, his beard was especially attractive. It's a different kind of relationship. So it isn't based on that level of attraction. And I suppose that's the primary reason why it's an uncomfortable image. It's not this romantic attraction to each other. And yet, nonetheless, he's trying to say, I need you to stretch beyond that. The little kid thinks that that's what we're talking about, romantic attractions. And because he's a little kid and doesn't quite have all the hormones kicked in yet, he doesn't want anything to do with that. That seems ridiculous to him. But it even happens later on in life. Like if a boy would see a very attractive girl from behind, and then she turns around and it's his sister or his cousin. And then he's like, very uncomfortable, because we're not supposed to have those kind of attractions to our own family members. We understand this. And so there's an aversion to this. And we've kind of then taken that and pushed it on to Jesus. We're not talking about romantic attractions, okay? That's not what we're looking at. That's really what a child would think. When Jesus calls himself the bridegroom, he does, however, use this image on purpose for two reasons. One, he wants you to know how deeply he loves you and wants a personal relationship with you. He is not okay being this distant God who loves you from afar, who applauds you while you go running in the sports. He wants to be right there with you, hand in hand, holding on to you. He wants to be so close to you that there is no difference between you and him. The two shall become one, like in a marriage. And so you can see his imagery really is telling us what he was expecting out of marriage itself. When you get married, I don't want you to get married to the person you're attracted to, and that's the end of the story. There's a lot of people who do that. They get married because we're attracted to each other. But there's so much more to it. And the depths of your attraction are much more than just the body. There's not just personalities. There's something about being on the right page with each other, where you have the same goals, where you have the same directions, even the same methodology. And sometimes that takes a little bit of compromising, a little bit of dying to self so that we get onto the same page, so that we really become one. And Jesus is saying that. Do you all know how much God was willing to die to self so as to come onto our page? He literally left the beauty of heaven to come down to the mud of Bethlehem to be with you. He literally died for you, suffered a cross. He was willing to give up all of this and become mortal in all of the difficulty of mortal life. And he asks so little of us that we would die to self to get on the right page with him. Basically, stop being selfish. Stop thinking about yourself all the time, and you'll right away find he already is doing all the thinking for you. He cares so much about you. He will give you everything you really need. You don't have to worry about yourself. But we lose trust in God and we start to focus in, if I don't take care of myself, no one will, as if God's going to leave you out. God's not going to leave you out. He wants to be like a bridegroom to a bride. You can trust me. I will be faithful to you. I will fulfill your meaning. Come on. Let me love you. When we do the vows at a wedding, we make it so much more than in the movies when they finally get around to saying, I love you. Yeah. So we can see that in the movies that they start loving each other. And that's kind of a big moment when the boyfriend and the girlfriend finally say, I love you. That's like a big moment for them. But when you're in a church before God and your entire everybody you ever know, and you say, I promise to love you and honor you all the days of my life. There's something so much more than just, I'm admitting my feelings. It's a commitment. You can count on me. God is making that commitment to you. God is saying, you can count on me. Count on me. And he makes this promise to you. Now, we in turn are asked to respond. You know, in the marriage ceremony, I ask the groom first to make his promise, and the bride merely listens. He doesn't know what she's going to say. I mean, by the time they got there, he's pretty sure he knows what she's going to say. But she could still say, thanks for making the promise, but I'm not going to make that promise back. All the way up until she actually says it, she is free to walk away. And so he declares his promise to love, not merely revealing some secret emotions. He is making a commitment to do actively loving this person. And independent of that, not forced into it, she will make the same commitment without conditions. I will love you so long as you love me. That's not what they say. I promise to love you, period. And then she responds, and I promise to love you, period. No conditions. No, so long as you don't gain weight, so long as we have this many children, so long as we make this much money, so long as nobody better comes along. All of these things, these conditions, is not part of the marriage ritual. However, it is part of the boyfriend-girlfriend saying, I love you. It really is a very temporary kind of thing. Right now, I can tell you I love you. But also in the movies, they tell you later, love, it came into my life and it floated away. All right, what are they talking about? Well, that's definitely not talking about what Jesus is saying with the bridegroom image. So when Jesus reveals to us the love of God for you, he doesn't want it to be this puppy love of boyfriend and girlfriend. He wants it to be a committed, absolutely on the same page, the two have become one. So the perfect image for that is not the boyfriend and girlfriend kind of love. It's the bridegroom and the bride. He doesn't even say husband and wife. Husband and wife have something to do with children. It's about the bridegroom and the bride. And so he chooses this image. I love you this much. I have been able to let my dying happen to get on the same page with you and make a firm, unconditional commitment to you forever. And I await your response. But you are not forced into this. You choose, and you choose freely. Those who choose to say, and I will love you all the days of my life, have entered into a new relationship, a very intimate, personal relationship with God. So why is it so uncomfortable? Mostly because of the romantic attraction that's connected to that. Let that go. That's kind of a young person's way of thinking about it. Once we let that go, we start to realize what he means by that. And we start to understand, yeah, it's a very firm commitment. It's a faithfulness to each other. It's a new understanding of what love, which kind of love are we talking about? It's a new kind of love. It's a very powerful kind of love. It is a willing to lay down my life for you kind of love. Now, once we get into this understanding, we then have to go back to this thing of, well, then how come it's so uncomfortable for me still? If I let go of the romantic thing, it still feels a little uncomfortable. Well, there's another reason. There's another reason it's uncomfortable is because it's usually our bridegrooms and our brides are an exclusive relationship. What does that mean? The act of being faithful when you're husband and wife means I'm not going to be with anybody else. I'm not going to love anybody else, not the way I love you. And we understand if I make that commitment to Jesus, I can't love anyone else like I love Jesus. That's true. Now you're going to love other people and you're going to love them like Jesus loves you, but you're not going to love anyone like you love Jesus. Not even your husband or wife. There is no one like Jesus. So your love of Jesus must be higher than all. I often say this to couples. How could you possibly tell me you're going to love this imperfect person if you can't love the perfect one, Jesus? How can you make a commitment that all the days of your life, you're going to be loving to this person who's going to get on your nerves eventually because we're all flawed and human? And yet you wouldn't give up 1 hour a week to go tell Jesus, I love you. I can't make that commitment. Can't go to church. Why not? Why do I need to? You're coming up with excuses. I'm asking the question, why can't I make that commitment? God doesn't need that. God told us to do this. God has given you a church who has made this part of the tradition. And we say, no, we can't do it. It is really quite funny that we are so hesitant to make a firm commitment to Jesus. And therefore, this image of the bride and the bridegroom is uncomfortable to us because it means commitment. It means faithfulness on another level. I will love you above all other things, Lord, and I will love no one like I love you. But I will try to love others as you love me. Well, that's really powerful. To make a firm commitment. It's why we're afraid to get married, really. Bridegrooms and brides are afraid. They get those cold feet, right? They're worried about it. You know, the girl says to the boy, do you think one day we'll get married? Oh, hey, now you're getting serious here. Oh, yes, we're getting serious. And we have a certain uncomfortability with bridegroom-bride relationship with God because it means firm commitment. And we're all uncomfortable. But I would say that's the beauty. If you don't have a little bit of fear in your heart, maybe you don't understand the gravity of this. So turning that uncomfortable into, I'm going to make the plunge. I'm going to make the commitment. I'm going to firmly vow myself to love you back becomes really meaningful. So I wouldn't even say that that level of uncomfortable is unwarranted. Perhaps it's even fear of the Lord. It means I'm taking this seriously. The last reason I would say that we have a little difficulty with this bridegroom and bride image might come from a male perspective. So Jesus is using the image of him to the church. And when we're thinking about Jesus talking to Mary Magdalene, saying, I am the bridegroom and you are the bride, we're very comfortable with that compared to Jesus, the bridegroom, loving Peter, the church, because Peter's a male. And in our way of thinking, it's, of course, in our modern day, we seem to think that marriage can be man and woman, man and man, woman and woman. We kind of mix it all up, right? but there's still in most of the population a little bit of a, I'm not comfortable with male kind of love. And the church certainly doesn't teach that that's the kind of marriage that makes sense to us. Marriage being fruitful in the sense of being able to have children. So we think of it as male and female, and that's the natural way in which people are able to have children. So we connect those images. All right. So Jesus, the bridegroom, now looking at Michael as his bride, puts me in a kind of a feminine position. I'm not sure how I'm comfortable with that. I'm kind of okay with being a guy. Can't I just be a guy? But then it's like guy and guy. Like, wait a second, now we're getting kind of weird. This, of course, is an analogy. He's not trying to make me feminine. All right. So I have to really kind of pull myself out of that and think of it more as the bridegroom to humanity. And as we look at the bridegroom Jesus to humanity, then I become a member of this humanity, which is actually a feminine word. In the English/Germanic language, we don't really do too much with the masculine feminine in this word. But in the Latin and Greek, it is a feminine word. So humanity is feminine. And when we look at that, we see is God taking the role of a bridegroom and humanity being the role of a female. Now, these are going to be some exaggerations or even stereotypical, but in that relationship, the male initiates, the woman responds. Okay? So you think of this in a physical way. The man initiates his love to the woman, and the woman is receptive to the man. So that is a way that we biologically fit like puzzle pieces. And in this case, God provides, we accept God's grace. So now I know that this is uncomfortable because now we're getting into this, wait a second here, am I the female in this scenario? For a man, that might be very difficult for you to appreciate, but think of it as humanity. Humanity is now receiving the grace of God, the gift that he has initiated, and responding by accepting the gift. Another way to look at it for a man would say he's giving you the model of the bridegroom. You are called to be the bridegroom now. And he's saying, don't be a bridegroom like everybody else is. Be this kind of bridegroom. Another way for us to think about this is when my nephew was born, my brother was so excited. He came out of the hospital room where his wife had just given birth, and he announced to us the weight of the child and his name. Jack Hunter Stala. And the whole waiting room just burst into applause. We're just so excited for him. But I remember my other brother gave him some really good advice. He said, John, be the man you want your son to be. Our dads are called to be models for their sons. And we have broken models. We haven't done a good enough job. Jesus is saying, let me be your model, and then you can model to others. You want to know what a bridegroom should be like? Look at me. Now follow this example. Stop with the nonsense. Stop with following all the wrong models. Look to me. I will show you how to love. And there's a certain empowering to these words of Jesus. You who call yourself bridegroom, you don't know what you're doing. Look at what I do. I will show you. It's like, yeah, show me. It's like it was almost like a drill sergeant. Forget everything you learned. I'm going to teach it over again, and you're going to be a soldier. And Jesus is saying, forget everything the world told you. You now got to listen to me. I will train you to be the image of the bridegroom. Wow. All right. Take this seriously. Understand you are broken in your understanding of bridegroom. You need to be retrained. and he will retrain you. Not me, Jesus. He wants to do so personally. He takes interest in you because the mission you have, the vocation you have, is that important.